the first thing we do is we say unwrap, let go, and take this label and put it somewhere else. It doesn't belong to you. The next thing we want to do is say, okay, so now what is it that you want to achieve? You want to achieve this idea. Let's look at what's been holding you back. Let's move those things out of the way too.
Hey everyone, Chris G here. I'm back again with another episode of A Titan's Tale. It sounds like that's what I say every week, but it is actually. So today I've got a special guest, Kim Ades. Kim is an author and a business owner, and she actually owns Frame of Mind Coaching. Excuse me, Kim, for that. And Kim, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very happy and excited to be talking to you today.
Well, thanks. Let's start out. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Kim?
Sure. So I live in Toronto. I do own a coaching company called Frame of Mind Coaching. We coach leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, the C-suite, and we've been doing that for the past 20 years. On a personal level, the mother of 5, although they're older now, but that has definitely kept me busy. And
Mhm.
I do a lot of speaking all over the world, and I love what I do, and I love who I do it with.
Frame of Mind Coaching. Was that your first business?
No, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So my
Well,
first ever business, I was 20 years old and I owned a balloon decorating business. And we used to go and decorate people's halls for their weddings and engagement parties and anniversaries and all their special occasions. And yeah, I was very young, and I would, find out who was getting married and whether or not they wanted balloon decorations for their weddings. And I would go and I would meet them face to face and show them our balloon decorating options. And they would say, I want this one, but in blue. And we would go every Saturday. We would have 4 or 5, sometimes 6 weddings to decorate before the wedding started. And so I was a business owner I'm a serial entrepreneur, right? And then
right.
the business I had after that was called Upward Motion, and I got a little more sophisticated. We built simulation-based assessments, and the purpose of those assessments was to help companies make better hiring decisions. And now I'm in the coaching industry, and I've been there for the past 20 years.
Did you go to college before I get to my next question?
Yes, so in Canada, there's a distinction between college and university. So I went to university
Hmm.
and I did my undergraduate degree in psychology and then a master's degree in business.
So was that what I guess posed you for start a business yourself instead of going to corporate?
No, 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 no. You know what? You want to hear something really funny?
Yes.
I ran this balloon business, right? And it was very labor intensive. Like, right, we would have to wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and show up at the hall at 6, and we would be standing on our feet all day long blowing and building balloons. Of course, not with our mouth, but we would be tying up the balloons. And at the end
Hmm.
of every day, I would have like massive blisters on my fingers. And I thought to myself, like, this is good, but it's not like a life. It's not a life. It's not the life you want, right? You
Right.
want your weekends and you want to be able to, anyway. So I said, if I get accepted to do my MBA, then I'll go do my MBA. And if not, then I'll grow my balloon business. But I had to submit an application to do my MBA. And one of the things I did was I had a stack of positive reviews from my clients
Hmm.
saying that they loved our work and that we were very impressive and the balloon decorations were beautiful and it was easy and a pleasure working with Kim. And I collated them and I sent them in with my MBA application. I think I was the only person to ever do something like that because I wasn't like really a candidate. I wasn't a prime candidate for getting an MBA at the time, but I showed a lot of enthusiasm and drive, and I think that they are like, wow, she's different, and they let me in.
Well, I have in my notes that you actually sold one of your businesses. Is that right?
I did. I sold my last business, Upward Motion. I sold it, and I ended up getting recruited within weeks after that to work for a coaching company here in Toronto as their VP of marketing. So it all happened very quickly.
Did they reach out to you because of
They
your
re-
previous business, or were
yeah,
you looking?
yeah. So in my previous business, the one where we were building assessments, one of the industries we worked in was the real estate industry. And I was extremely well connected in the real estate industry at the time. Again, keep in mind, this is now a lot of years ago, many, many years ago. But I was, the kind of person who would go to every single trade show, every single conference, every single event. And I would walk the floor and know everybody on the floor. I knew who was who and what was what. And I did, my absolute best to get every single one of them to become clients of ours. And so I was hired by this company who provided coaching for real estate professionals. And so that's where I went after that. But I didn't last very long. It
I
lasted
got you.
only lasted only like 8.5, 9 months. And the reason for that is because when you're an entrepreneur, it's really hard to work for someone else. I am sure you can understand that. But
Mm-hmm.
then the second reason is that I had an opportunity to observe how they coach. And I really felt like deep in my gut, I think they're doing this wrong and I think I could do a better job. So that's when I started
So,
my own coaching company.
start your own coaching company. That way you could
Yeah,
learn or do it the way you wanted to do it.
exactly.
And you've been doing it for 20 years.
I've been doing this for 20 years and I have a team of coaches in Canada and the US. And we have a very, very unique, very, very high impact way of coaching leaders.
Well, how is that?
So let me go back. Okay. So let me go
Sure.
back to this company I used to work for. And how did they coach? What they did was they helped these business owners develop business plans. And on the business plan, they would say, okay, here are, let's say, the 10 milestones that you need to achieve in order to reach your big goal. And as your coach, I will hold you accountable to making sure that you do all the things on your list in order to achieve the results you're looking for. And I thought to myself, these people are smart. They know how to create a business plan, but why aren't they doing what's on the plan? What's getting in the way? And I thought, if I could get into their heads, if I could understand how they think, how they see the world, how they process things, if I could get a sense of their values, their priorities, and their beliefs, and I could move over the barriers, if I can remove them from their psyche, then I could help them succeed. It wasn't so much that they needed to be held accountable, but they needed to remove the beliefs that were getting in the way of their own success. People know what to do. They just don't do it. Like, we know how to lose weight, right? We know what we're supposed to do to lose weight, but we don't do it. The question is why? Is there a lack of information out there telling us how to lose weight? Not at all. There's an overabundance of information on how to lose weight. So it's not the how that we're missing. It's the fact that there's something blocking us from taking action consistently. And if we
Is
could
that
understand,
which
sorry,
is our
go ahead.
mind usually? What's blocking us? Our
That's
mind?
right. It's our beliefs. It's our beliefs. Our beliefs that sound like, I can't do that. That's too hard. The competition is too tough. I mean, if we're talking about weight loss, it's like, man, I'm missing out on the fun, on the party. I'm hungry. Like, I don't like deprivation. All this stuff that's going on in our brains that say, well, I have to eat every day. This is just tough. I have things to do. What do you want me to do? Spend the whole day at the gym? I've got work to do. I've got to pay the bills. Like, how, this is really tough. All of that chatter inside of our brains makes it like we stack the deck against ourselves when we do that.
Well,
And
how do we
so,
change that?
well, first of all, we need to become aware of that. If we're not aware of it, there's no way we can change it. And what
Aware of
we
our aware of our aware of our thoughts.
aware of our thoughts and aware of the beliefs that are contradicting our desires, the beliefs that we have that are slowing us down.
Are we replacing those beliefs or are we
Yes, we're
correct?
trading them up.
Okay.
We're trading them up for more useful, equally buyable. Buyable is a term that perhaps I invented, beliefs. So
Bible
what
as BUI.
BUI, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't buy an idea that I'm offering, then you're not going to take it on, right? You're going to
Yeah.
be like, yeah, but I don't really believe that, right? So it has to be a buyable belief.
So we have to be conscious about it, don't you? Like a conscious effort to
Exactly. Exactly. So how do I identify your beliefs? How do I pull them out of you so that now we can both become conscious of your beliefs, specifically the beliefs that are preventing you from living the life you want to live and reaching the goals you have? So, how I do it is that usually we work with what we call the highly driven population, people who like to have results fast. They don't want it to take forever. So what we do is we front load our coaching experience. We start off with 10 weeks. And in those 10 weeks, we create a very intensive, intimate coaching experience designed to move clients far in a short period of time. So how does it work? There's a call every week. Every call is recorded, and we ask our clients to listen to the recordings so that they can hear themselves speak. They can hear what they're saying, how they're saying it. They can start to pay attention to the words they use, because the words you use tell us how you think and what you believe. I'll give you a perfect example. Like literally 30 minutes before this call, I was on a call with someone else, and she said, "I'm an introvert." And I said, "Tell me how calling yourself an introvert works for you. How does it serve you?" I said, "What does it get you?" She said, "Nothing. It gets me nothing." I said, "So
What gets her
stop
to be an
doing that.
introvert?
Stop doing that." I said, "Who told you you were an introvert?" She said, "I did." I said, "Why did you take that on? Why did you label yourself like that?" She said, "Well, I'm not comfortable speaking in front of groups of people." I said, "Show me one person who is. That doesn't make you an introvert." So the way we think about ourselves, the labels we put on ourselves will determine how we show up in this world. In her case, calling herself an introvert has her playing smaller than she needs to play. But now let's go further. So we get our clients to listen to themselves and hear how they sound, the words that they're saying. And then in between every call, we ask our clients to journal in a private and secure online journal every single day with their coach. So at the beginning of the week, they get a journaling question or a prompt. They start to journal. And every time they journal, their coach reads their journal and responds. So imagine it's this interactive journaling concept. So your coach is there every single day. What is your coach doing? Asking questions, going deeper, digging deeper, right? So what we're doing is we're understanding how you operate, how you think, what your beliefs are, how you react and respond to things, what bugs you, what triggers you. Why? Because those probably show up over and over and over again. And to a great extent, the beliefs you have will determine the decisions you make, the actions you take, and the actions you don't take. And unless those are addressed, you can change your actions, but they will not be sustained. So your actions and beliefs have to be in alignment in order for you to get great results.
So this lady, the one, the previous client, what did she want?
She
Does she want to be an extrovert
she doesn't want to
or?
be an extrovert, but she has a program that she has in mind for the business that she works
Mhm.
for, and she has to go and present that idea to the owners of the business. And the owners of the business have let her know that she needs certain qualifications in order to make that happen. And she's either reluctant to challenge that or reluctant to get the qualifications. So she's sitting in a holding pattern.
So as a coach, what do you tell her? To
Well,
think different, or do you? I mean, we've identified that I mean, you've told her, and she identifies that she's the one telling herself she's an introvert.
yeah, the first thing we do is we challenge that by saying, you do all these other things, these things would not qualify you as an introvert. And you just made that up, and you just took on that term, and you just wrapped your arms around that concept, that label. And the first thing we do is we say, unwrap, let go, and take this label and put it somewhere else. It doesn't belong to you. The next thing we want to do is say, okay, so now what is it that you want to achieve? You want to achieve this idea. Let's look at what's been holding you back. Let's move those things out of the way too. And now let's create a plan, a strategy for helping you achieve those goals. But I can't work on strategy until I work on beliefs. Because if she doesn't believe she's qualified or equipped for that goal she has, No matter what we do, no matter how much strategy we put into place, she will not execute it. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Also sounds like you're using past beliefs or true beliefs. I mean, past truths as proof of that you're not an extrovert, or in this case, an extrovert. But you're using person's past history, something they know they've experienced, to prove a point. Is that right?
More more specifically, I use
Hmm.
their interpretation of their history, right? So I ask
Hmm.
them to interpret for me the experiences they had, and their interpretation helps me understand their current beliefs.
Okay.
Because look, the same thing can happen to three people. Okay. Let's
Yep.
pretend we all have a job, and let's just take you and me. Forget the third person because that third person isn't in the room right now. But let's just say you and me, right?
All
We
right.
both have a job and we were both fired. For one of us, that could be the worst, most horrible, most shameful experience. For the other person, it can be the greatest relief, the greatest like freedom, the greatest gift. Same event, two different experiences. Why? What's different? It's the same event. It's our
Perception, I think.
interpretation. Exactly. It's our
Perception. Okay.
interpretation. And our interpretation will determine the life we live.
Coaching of helping them interpret things in a positive manner. Well, I say positive in the way they want to, right?
We're in the business of helping people interpret things in a way that will help them easily reach their goals.
And part of the coaching is their goals. We have to identify their goals at some point, right?
Well, listen, sometimes
Pardon?
someone says, here's my goal, but is it really their goal? Sometimes people say, right, they come to the table believing this should be a goal, but is it their deep, true goal? Not always, not always.
Hmm.
So it's nice to know a person's goals, but what we really want is for a person to live their lives feeling confident, feeling good about themselves, having great relationships, and not allowing their beliefs to get in the way of living a life that they think is interesting, stimulating, exciting, challenging, all of those things. That's really what we're after.
I think this probably leads to my next question then. I have in my notes here principles of thought mastery.
Yes,
Is that what we're kind of is that what we're referring to?
we have a set of principles that we teach our clients, and we don't teach them in order. We teach them according to relevance. Okay. So I'll give you an example. I have a client, and she had an incident that happened at work where one of her direct reports went around her and went to her cohort to complain about her. And so her immediate reaction is anger, frustration, resentment, hatred, all of these things, right? But all of those things are not, they're not, that reaction will not get her anything that she wants. One of the things she wants is to live a peaceful, joyful life. That completely clashes with her desire. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's what you want. So one of the principles is that things happen in your life that don't always seem to be. And if we're able to look at negative events and look beyond the immediate impact of that negative experience and say, what's in this for me? Where is the gift? If we are taught, if we build the muscle of looking for the gift in each event, even if it doesn't feel great, we find the gift. So in her case, the gift was realizing that there's an opportunity for a better relationship with this person and building up a different leadership style. Sometimes you need adversity to take a sharp right turn, right? So it didn't feel like a gift, but at the end of the day, if you start to learn to look for the gift and turn things into gifts, then you are able to extract a positive experience out of a negative situation
How often or do you practice this on yourself?
as often as I humanly can.
Yeah.
As often as I can. I'm human, of course, I have
Sure.
emotions and things bother me and frustrate me, but I try not to stay there very long, and I try to turn myself around. One of the things that I do personally is I journal
Mm.
daily, and that journaling allows me to redirect myself and turn myself towards what I want instead of what I don't.
Now, you mentioned you had children. Do you catch yourself doing it to your children?
You know what? They have learned through osmosis. They've picked this up.
Yeah.
100%. There's no question. You know, one of my kids is in the restaurant industry, and one of the things he does with his team, the staff in the restaurant, is they have team meetings before every service, and he says to them, "Give me 10." And usually, what does "give me 10" stand for? What does that mean usually?
Usually means push-ups, but
Usually it means push-ups. What he means is, give me 10 things you're grateful for today. So yes, it definitely seeps through. I never told him to do that, but he's known for telling his staff to give him 10.
well, you've been doing it for 20 years. How old's he?
He is 28.
There you go. Very impressionable. What makes a good leader? You mentioned a leader earlier.
I think a very good leader is one who takes full responsibility for themselves. And what that means is that they manage their emotions well, and they are connected to the relationship between their thoughts and their beliefs and the actions they take and the outcomes they get. I also think a really good leader is a very good role model. And so when they walk through the office, they demonstrate exactly what it is that they'd like to see. I will throw one more thing in. A great leader is also a person who can see the potential in someone and show it to them and say, here's where I see you, and hold people up to a great light. And so that people who work for them share the vision they have and work towards that vision. Leadership is also about going first, you know, just going first and taking some risks, but also sometimes being vulnerable. I mean, it's all kinds of things.
I've had lots of clients over the years. Any good stories to share that where you've helped that leader, for example, move, um, become better almost, or even
Yes.
just a even do a complete 180. So you got anything like that for me?
Yeah. I mean, I have so many stories, but I'll share one with you that is going, it's current. So many years ago, I was coaching someone, and this man that I was coaching said, I'd like to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, and I'd like you to coach him, but I want you to treat him very carefully, like with kid gloves. And I thought that was like the strangest way to introduce me, because I'm very direct as a coach. And I said, why would you position it that way? He said, well, he's a very good friend of mine. He's in his early 30s and he has stage 4 cancer. And so I got on the phone with this guy and I said, look, I have 2 questions for you. Question number 1, how long do you have left to live? And he said, I don't really know. I've been on all these experimental drugs. I think I've already lived longer than I was meant to live. I'm still on experimental drugs, and I'm guessing I have about a 2-year window. I said, okay, question number 2, how can I help you? What is it that you would like to achieve as a result of coaching? He said, well, what I really want your help with is I really, really want you to help me increase my productivity. And I thought that was super weird, right? If I had 2 years left to live, would I be so fascinated and attached to my productivity? Probably not. And I said, well, why is that important to you? And he said, well, I am the only child of a single mom, and I want to grow my business and sell it so that I have money and I can put it away for my mom while I'm gone. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you another question. I said, what is it that you really, really want? He said, oh my goodness, I want more time. I want to grow my business for sure. I want to sell it. I want to take my mom on a great vacation. I want to buy a house. I want to be married. I want to run a marathon. I said, well, why don't we do that instead? And I to work with him, and I started to read his journals, and I started to understand he's a type A personality kind of guy. And I understood that in business, he was responsible for all sales, and every project that he completed for his clients, he had to make sure he reviewed it and dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and he was working super long hours. And I said to him, we should probably talk about hiring some people. You can't keep up this pace. He said, I can't afford to hire people. I said, dude, you can't afford not to hire people. Your life is at stake here. You can't keep this up. We need to reduce your stress. Because if those experimental drugs have any fighting chance, it's only going to work if your stress levels are lower.
Absolutely.
And so we worked on his business. We worked on his beliefs more than anything. He started hiring people and he started backing off a little bit of all the workload, the projects, the long hours, all of that. Well, it's been 8 years and he's still alive.
Mhm.
And I'm not responsible for that, but I played a part in his life. He took his mother on 2 great vacations. He sold half of his company. He bought a house. He got married. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Not only did he do a marathon, he did a triathlon and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And a couple of months ago, he had a baby. And he's still struggling with stage 4 cancer, and he's back on chemo right now. But you know what? We filled up those years with a lot of accomplishments and a lot of personal fulfillment.
What a wonderful tale to tell. That is awesome. He's done it with a team, and he hasn't sold it yet, right?
He sold
So I
half.
guess it's not part of it. That's
He
okay.
sold part of it. He's
Yeah,
maybe thinking about selling the other half now, but we'll see what happens.
I spend more time with his new baby.
That's right.
Your clients, are they mainly business entrepreneurs or a little bit of everything?
So a lot of them are business owners, but some of them, a good chunk of them, I would say 50-50 actually, are C-suite, candidates like CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, CIOs, all the
Hmm.
C's. So we
Sure.
coach senior leaders and then we have business owners. And the business owners that we coach, they own sizable businesses. On the low end, it's like a $5 million business all the way up to, billions.
Is there a common thread of what they look for or need help with?
Honestly, you would think that they come for business growth, and sometimes they do, but mostly they come for themselves because they feel like, uh, let me categorize it to you like this. What we see is that they struggle in 4 areas. And those 4 areas are consistent from client to client to client to client. The first is that they tend to feel very isolated. So they don't trust many people. They don't open up to many people. They don't have anyone to talk to. They carry the burden of responsibility on their shoulders. And while they might have people to delegate to, they feel like at the end of the day, the buck stops here and they are ultimately responsible. And so they need somewhere to deposit their experiences, their thoughts, their emotions. That's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is that they are people who experience or are exposed to a lot of friction, human friction, let's call it, friction with others. And there are 2 kinds of friction. One is overt friction, and the other one is covert friction. Overt friction is they get angry, and other people can feel that they're angry. And so there's like this tangible conflict that exists. But more often than not, what we see is that they are frustrated with other people because other people don't have the same sense of urgency. They don't have the same mission. They're not rowing the boat in the same direction. They feel often misunderstood. But, so they're around people, and very often when that happens, they keep it in. They hold it in because they have other more pressing things to attend to. And so there's often this friction that they have when they observe others and how other people behave. The third thing is they are people who have achieved a lot, but also have self-doubt. And so there are people who often feel a sense of chronic dissatisfaction because they are not as far ahead as they want to be. They're not where they want to be. They don't know what's taking so long. They don't know why it's so hard. They don't know who's to blame. Is it them? Is it their team? Like, what's going on here? And then last but not least, it's a term that I invented that I see very, very frequently. It's called slippage. And this is when they let very important things slip through the cracks. Things like their health, their sleep, their friendships, their fun. Maybe they're eating poorly, they're drinking too much, they're not weighing what they want to be weighing, they're not exercising. So they let these important things slip through the cracks. So these are the 4 areas that we see people struggling in, and they affect them personally and professionally. So we're always crossing areas, right? It comes in all the places. So when we coach people, we don't distinguish between their personal lives and their professional lives. We look at how they show up in all of their lives.
How does the family come into play with that? Do they mention that they need help there, or the family sees it? I'm seeing myself in some of these talks that we're having right now. How does the family deal with that?
Well, the family, if the person comes for coaching, we're coaching the person, and the
Hmm.
person will bring family dynamics into the picture. And so uh, in every single case, family plays a role. Like there's not one case, there's not one leader that shows up in coaching who does not discuss family dynamics, family issues. And those dynamics can be, we coach many family businesses, and so it could be among family members who also work together, but it could be like I coached one guy who was terrified because his daughter was climbing out the window at night at the age of 17 years old to meet with boys, and he didn't know what to do and how to lock her in and how to save her from damage, from danger, right? So we have all kinds of things going on. We have situations where husbands and wives aren't necessarily having the most epic relationship of their lives, and they want to fix that. We have people who are questioning whether or not they want to stay married and whether or not maybe divorce is the better option. We have we have people who have spouses who are ill. We have people who have children who have anxiety, depression, and special needs. We have all, you name it, we have it.
Is coaching an ongoing thing, or is it a finite, or is that something you just have to just anticipate that I need a coach and just to make it through, to somebody to talk to, or in this case, journal to?
Um,
Does anybody ever, I guess, does anybody ever say, "Hey Kim, I am think I'm very happy with what you did. I think it's just time I'm done. I can do it myself." Or is that
oh,
something
well,
that ever
what we
happens?
do is we always start off with 10 weeks, right? So we
Okay.
do a 10-week period. And after that, we decide together whether or not they need more or whether or not they're good for now. What we see is two things. Very often people come back for more, maybe not immediately, but later. So like I have clients who come back after 10 years, right? They come back.
Mhm.
They're like, I remember the experience we had. It was profound. It had a big impact. I'm having a new challenge now. Can you help? So very often people come back. But the other thing that a lot of our clients do is they stay on in a maintenance modality. So maybe they don't need to talk to me every week anymore, but maybe they just want to check in. Maybe they want to make sure they're on top of their game. So what we do is we schedule a call once a month, and we do that for a long time.
I personally, well, I guess I've tried journaling. I don't guess I know how. What is journaling? I mean, I know what it is. I mean, you're writing down, but how do you? Are you talking to yourself? Are you just talking what you feel? Or is everybody different? Or
Well, let's distinguish between journaling and then journaling in this coaching setting, okay? Because those are two
okay.
different things. So when you ask me what is journaling, journaling is writing down your thoughts. And you can decide what kinds of thoughts you want to write down. You can write down your thoughts about your life. You can write down your thoughts about your business, your marriage, the things you want to do, the things you want to achieve, the things that bother you. I mean, you can write down a list. You can write down your dreams, your hopes. I mean, there's a million different options when you're just journaling by yourself.
Mhm.
Um, when you are journaling with a coach, at least a frame of mind coach, the coach is taking you through a very specific journey. So at the beginning of every week, you get a journaling question to work with. And that question allows the coach to elicit or to extract very specific data from you. And that data allows us to connect dots, to understand how you think, how you show up, how you react, and allows us to, to connect dots and identify patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, and really look at where some of those patterns might be interfering with the life you really want to live. So again, we give you a question at the beginning of the week, you start journaling, and then every day that you journal, your coach is there reading your journal and asking more questions, digging deeper. The second day you answer those questions and you start a new journal. with the same prompt.
So it's basically answer a question that leads into more deeper, like our podcast where we start pulling the string. They say you find that little and you just tug on it and you get more in depth.
Exactly. It's extremely powerful. Like you cover a lot of ground. You get into departments you never imagined you would get into. It's the opposite of skimming the surface.
Is it kind of like the five whys? You ever heard of that?
No, tell me about it.
But continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And when you come to a problem, you ask why, and you ask why five times. And by the time in theory, by the time you get to the fifth why, it really gets down to the heart of what's going on.
Yes, I have heard of the five whys, but I didn't realize there were five. But
Oh, that's could be
yes,
three, but
I don't
five
know.
seems to
But
be.
yes, you continue to
Yeah.
ask why until you get to the core issue. And then
Mhm.
usually the core issue has to do with your belief system. You're not aware of it. That's the thing, right? We have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and we're not aware that we have beliefs that are getting in the way of our success. We have no consciousness of that at all. And of course, if you're having 60,000 thoughts a day, can a coach help you fix your 60,000 thoughts a day? No. But what we can do is identify the ones that are really problematic for you, the ones that are getting in the way, acting as barriers.
Suggest any games. I'm going to explain this. So one of the things I wanted to do to create a habit, games of creating habits. Um, One of the things I used to do, and I wasn't my idea. I learned it from a book or something about putting pennies in your pocket. And if your goal was to compliment people
Yep,
X amount of times a day, and and once I did it, I'd take a penny out of this pocket and put it in my other pocket. The goal was to have all the pennies in your other pocket by the end of the day,
that's a
and then
great
you
game.
start it again.
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks like that or games you?
Well, I've heard of a game where you wear an elastic and every time you're negative or critical, you like snap yourself, right? I'm not a fan of
Yeah, I've heard
self-harm.
of that one too.
But
Yeah,
we do have a game called the no game. And how does the no game work is that people are usually
NOW or
no, and
KNOW or
no, no.
Okay.
Like instead of
Yep.
yes, it's no,
No. Okay.
right?
Hmm.
People don't like getting rejected. People are afraid to get rejected. And so what they do is they play small. They don't ask for what they want. And so in the no game, the goal is to get as many no's as you can. So start asking making outrageous requests. And what you'll find is that sometimes in the process of asking for outrageous requests, some people say yes. So we've had people who have like ended up one of our clients ended up taking home like 2 cases of wine. Another one ended up getting like, I don't know, 16 cakes or something like this. You don't know what you can get. The problem is we're always so terrified of hearing no that we don't ever ask. And so the idea is to start to desensitize people to the no. It doesn't bother me. Okay, great. I got a no. Great. That's like a penny in my pocket. I got the no. I
Right.
won. And if I got the yes, then it's, bonus.
Kind of like gravy, as I call it, on your mashed potatoes.
That's right.
It's like it's a bonus. The potatoes are good as they are, but gravy just makes them better.
Exactly. So it's the idea of thinking of a no as a win instead of a loss.
It That's actually going to lead into my next. I want about ready to tie it up, but I want to know. All right, so you have a team of your coaches, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage them, or how do you teach them these concepts you're talking about, and so forth?
Yeah. So every single one of our coaches started off as a client first. So they went through coaching. They said, oh my goodness, that was an incredible experience. How do I learn how to coach? And so we have what's called the frame of mind certification process. And they went through the process. They took, the courses that we needed them to take. And then they coached for 50 hours and then took a 3-hour exam. And they have to pass the exam with an 85% or more. Anything less is a fail.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
how long does the courses take? I mean, are we talking
Yeah,
6
the whole
months?
process.
But
No, the whole process takes about, I would say, a good
mm,
year, sometimes even a little longer. Yeah, but our coaches are incredible. They're all extremely seasoned. They're top of the line. They're very, like, also they've been with me for many years, but they're very well equipped. And you know what? If they did not work for me, I would hire them to coach me.
Are they doing it as a side hustle, or is it just now that's their main thing, or both?
Yes, both. So some are doing it as a side hustle, some are doing it as their main thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Kim, I have certainly enjoyed our time today. If somebody was to reach out and say, "Hey, I want to be coached by Kim and her crew," how would they do that?
Best way to do that is like reach out to me directly. So it's Kim at frameofmindcoaching.com. But also go check us out. I know we talked a lot about journaling, and on our website are 10 really powerful journaling prompts that you could pick up. So go to frameofmindcoaching.com. They are complimentary. You don't have to pay for them. So pick those up and just sit down with those questions and think them through and start journaling. And if you're really bold, send them to me and we can discuss that further. My email address is kim at frameofmindcoaching.com.
And as always, if you're walking, driving, or doing the laundry and need that information, you can go to a and find Kim's information there as well. Kim, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be a guest on your show.
Thank you for sharing your tales. Bye bye.